Hey, everybody, thanks for joining me. We're going to talk about what to expect in regional bank earnings this week and next week. We have a bunch of regional banks on tap to report earnings this week. And after the Silicon Valley Bank failure a few weeks ago, investors are understandably unsure of what to expect. So before we get into it, please click subscribe to my channel to keep up with all of my latest investing and personal finance content. And please check out the link you see on your screen for a message from my sponsor, The Motley Fool, where you can get the top 10 stocks to buy right now. Okay, so regional banks are reporting earnings over the next couple weeks for the most part. Um, Tomorrow, I'm recording this on Tuesday. Tomorrow, we're going to see Ally Financial, Citizens Bank, US Bank, and Zion's report. Later in the week, we'll see Comerica, KeyCorp, Fifth Third, and later we'll see Regions Bank on Friday, and a bunch more to report next week. So there are a few things I'm watching, especially in light of what went on at the Silicon Valley Bank failure and kind of the deposit outflows we've seen from certain regional banks. So the deposit outflows are the obvious thing we're going to be looking at. And it doesn't look like we have anything close to a full scale bank run on any of the major regional banks. It looks like for the most part, deposit outflows have calmed down in the past couple weeks, and that all of these banks have more than enough deposits to kind of maintain their business and maintain their liquidity and things like that. So the one thing that I will be watching is the deposit to loan ratio for a lot of these banks. The banking model works and is profitable in most cases because banks have more deposits taken in than they have loans. If banks want to finance their loans with low cost deposits, if the average auto loan rate is 10% and the bank is paying 3% on its deposits, that's a 7% gap that the bank can pay its expenses and hopefully generate a nice profit from. But if it doesn't have enough deposits to cover its loan portfolio, that's when the bank has to start borrowing money through things like wholesale credit facilities and things like that. Those tend to be a lot more costly and it can eat into a bank's profits very, very quickly. And not to mention, the bank will not have very good capital levels and can fall dangerously low in that regard as well. So the loan to deposit ratios are something I will be watching. And I also want to see what banks are setting aside for credit losses. Credit loss provisions are a big part of bank earnings and is a lot of times why the bottom line numbers don't really, tell the full story. There are a lot of investor fears right now that banks are going to or customers are going to have trouble paying back their loans. That's especially true when it comes to auto loans and credit cards. Auto loans, if you've tried to buy a car in the past few years, you know this. People are paying well above sticker prices for cars. There are shortages on dealer lots still, and that's kind of an unprecedented situation. So people are more borrowers than ever are finding themselves underwater on the car loans they took out in the past few years. And with a recession expected to arrive very shortly, if people become unemployed, an underwater asset is often one of the things they'll consider letting go. So there are legitimate concerns that people are going to start having tough times paying back their auto loans. Credit cards interest rates are just going so high since rates started to rise. The average credit card interest rate has risen from about 18% to about 24% in the United States. So there's worry that people are getting in over their heads in debt and might start having trouble paying the higher interest charges. So I'll be watching that, especially from the specialized banks like Ally Financial. It's almost exclusively an auto lender. So it'll provide some really great insight into the auto lending space. And Capital One is a big credit card lender. That's a good example of one that I'll be watching for credit card information. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I'd love to know what you're watching in regional banks and which banks you're the most concerned about. So please leave me comments. I'll try my best to address them all individually. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to click subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel already. And as always, this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. Be sure to visit www.fool.com/Frankel to receive the top 10 best stocks to buy now.